We say welcome back to our YouTube family who had joined us for Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 23. They were perfect. If you are just joining us, our Shabbat gathering, we say to you Shabbat Shalom. But if you are just joining us, then I encourage you to stop listening to this video and go back to part 23 and begin there before you begin this continuation. This continuation will be part 24 of Searching for the Ancient Path. They were perfect. They were perfect. So in part 23, Abba began to reiterate what he began in part 22 with respect to how he demands perfection. We must be perfect. And he answered the question with respect to how can we be perfect, and that is that we must be born from above. We must have his perfect Ruach in us. And if we have his perfect Ruach in us, then we in turn have his character and his nature, which is perfect. And if we are indeed born from above, from a place that is righteous, a place in which there is no unrighteousness, a place where there is no imperfection, then we are to walk as we are citizens of above and not as citizens from below. In the words of Sha'al, therefore walk in the Ruach, so that you do not fulfill the desires of your flesh. And so we must consistently walk as citizens of Shamayim, that is to say heaven. And if we consistently walk this way, as citizens of Shamayim, we will walk as our ancient fathers, and we will, present tense, walk as Yahuwah, who is perfect. Who is perfect. The operative, the operative objective is to be born from above. Is to be born from above. Because listen, if we are not born from above, we are not in covenant with him. We're not in covenant with him if we are not born from above. He has given us an example with husband and wife with respect to the entering of covenants. With respect to the entering in of covenants. He showed us by the example of Abraham when he instructed Abraham to do what? To split certain animals in half. Now, when we look at the Hebrew or the Abrahamic word for covenant, that word is bar'it. Bar'it. And bar'it means to what? It means to cut, or it means to split. And so he must cut a covenant with us. He must cut a covenant with us. And thus he instructed our father Abraham to split or cut the animals in two. Furthermore, he instructed him to do what? To split or cut the foreskin of his flesh. Covenant again means bar'it, and bar'it means to split or to cut. This is what it means. And so he cut a covenant with us, and this alludes to death. This alludes to the shedding of dam, or the shedding of blood, because a covenant is not made permanent unless the covenant one dies. Unless the covenant one dies. Thus the animal died, and thus Yahusha died, and thus his dam is sprinkled on us, and thus when we are immersed into him, we are impaled with him, we die with him, we are buried with him, and we are resurrected to the newness of life. We must die. The covenant one must die. There must be a death in order for the covenant to be permanent. But there also must be a split, a cut, in order for the person to enter into covenant with Yahuwah. And so he gives us an example with husband and wife. It is his preference that the wife be what? An alma, be a virgin. So that when the man enters into covenant with her, when he enters her, that the hymen is what? It is split. It is cut. She bleeds and she dies to herself. Yes, she does. She dies to herself, and then she takes on what? The nature and the character of her husband. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. She takes on the nature and the character of her husband. Likewise, as a man enters a woman, and there is a split, there is a cut, there is a ba'it, and there is blood, there is death. When Yahuwah enters into covenant with us, his ruach must enter into us. He must enter us as a man enters a woman. His ruach must enter into us and do what? And cut and split the foreskin of our hearts, writing his Torah upon it, whereby giving us a love for Torah and a willingness to obey it. The point was made in part 23 that indeed, that if we have his ruach, as just was previously spoken, that we are to have then his very nature and his very character. And he has been making the point now that his nature and his character is Tom. It's Tom. This is the fruit of the ruach. It's Tom. Yes, he has, and he's going to give us some precepts to show that his nature is Tom. It is Tom. Now, Tom is not the only characteristic of someone walking in covenant with Yahuwah, but if you are in covenant with Yahuwah, part of being in covenant with Yahuwah is to be quiet and gentle. Indeed, Tom means perfect. It means perfect, but perfect also means quiet and gentle. Quiet and gentle. As we began reading about Noah and then Abraham and then Yaakov, all of these men were perfect. They were Tom. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Because Yahuwah had what? Had entered into covenant with them. His ruach was in them, whereby they took on his nature and his character, which is perfect, which is quiet and gentle and complete. It is perfect. It is perfect. And so if one boasts in being in covenant with Yahuwah, he or she must have his ruach. And he or she must display his nature and his character. And his nature and his character is perfect. And part of being perfect is to be quiet and gentle. And so again, if you are one who is always running your mouth, who is always looking for position and a platform and is always posting on Facebook and always commenting on posts on Facebook and is always active in some chat room or somewhere commenting on YouTube or on Instagram, or you're always on the phone talking and you're always texting, that's not his nature. He does not always run his mouth. He is quiet. He is gentle. But Hashatan always runs his mouth. He's always accusing the brethren. He's always talking. He's always talking. He never shuts up. He never shuts up. And so if this is you who are always talking, always sowing seeds of discord, always looking for position, always looking for esteem, always looking for a platform to esteem yourself, this character is Hashatan's. And so you may be operating in a ruach, but you're not operating in the ruach hakadosh. Oh, run and get your fig leaves. Run and get them. Oh, he's not done. He's not done. Go run and get your fig leaves. Look over the landscape of Facebook and social media and look at the landscape of Yasha'al. Oh, he's showing some fruit this day. He is showing some fruit. He is showing the character and nature of all those who claim to know him. He don't talk all the time. No, he doesn't. And if you're talking all the time, you're not hearing his voice. You're hearing some other voice, but you're not hearing his. How can you hear his if you're always running your mouth? Tom, part of being perfect is to be quiet. Hush your mouth. And gentle. Quiet and gentle. And so Noach was Tom. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Abraham was Tom. Yahuwah, who we're looking at now, was Tom. They were perfect. They were perfect. And as we're getting ready to see, Yahusha was Tom. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yahuwah is Tom. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And if you have his Ruach, then you ought to have his, you should have already by now taken on his nature and his character as in the earthly realm, a woman starts to take on the very nature and character of her husband. Provided that she is not operating in some Yisabal Ruach and refuses to shut her mouth and refuses to submit. But if she submits in accordance with the Torah, having a meek and quiet spirit, oh yes, being Tom, displaying that she has the Ruach of Yahuwah. If she submits, not operating in her own esteem, not operating in accordance with her own desire and her own will, but in accordance with the desire and the will of her husband, no different than us giving up our wills and our desires and operating in the will and the desire of Yahuwah, becoming his servant, becoming his bride. Because indeed, if you're operating in your own will and your own desire, you're not a servant. You're your own master. You're your own master. And you're not in covenant with him. You are not in covenant with him. Stop lying on my father, saying that Yahuwah spoke this to you. You're lying. I see you. You talk too much. He ain't talking to you. He ain't talking to you. You don't have his character. If you don't have his character, you don't have his Ruach. You don't have it. You hear a voice, but it ain't his. Shut your mouth. He don't talk all the time. He's meek. He's humble. He's lowly. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And if you are in covenant with him, you too have these characteristics, these same characteristics, no different than our perfect forefathers. Barak Yahuwah. Come on, keep reading.
Matthew 11:29-30.
Matthew what?
11:29-30.
Matthew 11:29 through 30. Read.
Take my yoke upon you.
Take my yoke upon you.
And learn from me.
And learn from me.
For I am meek.
For I am meek.
And humble in heart.
And humble in heart.
And you shall find rest.
And you shall find rest.
For your being.
For your being.
For my yoke is gentle.
For my yoke is what?
And my burden is light.
For my yoke is what?
My yoke is gentle.
It's gentle. It's Tom. Yes, it is. I told you he was Tom. My yoke is gentle. It is Tom. Read.
And my burden is light.
And my burden is light. Now let's break this down a little bit more. Now he's talking about yoke. He's talking about yoke. This alludes to servitude. A yoke alludes to servitude. Indeed, when you want your ox to serve you or your donkey, you put a yoke upon their neck. And if you want your oxen to behave, then you put another oxen beside him, because you don't yoke an oxen and a donkey together. No. You see, this is about servitude. This is about who you serve. This is akin to, in Deuteronomy 28, when the curses were pronounced, he spoke there that he was going to put what? A yoke of iron upon our necks. And so yoke here alludes to servitude. If you are yoked with Hashatan, then you are burdened down with guilt and burdens. Yes, you are, because he is a harsh taskmaster. But if you are yoked to Yahuwah, if you are yoked to Yahusha, his burden is light. It is gentle. Indeed, you are going to begin to take on those characteristics. Yes, you are, because a servant doesn't have his own desire and his own will. A servant only seeks the desire and the will of his master. And as his master is meek and mild and humble and gentle, oh, so is he. Go run and get your fig leaves. You talk too much. Oh, you're displaying your fruit. You talk too much. Go get your fruit. He was Tom. He is Tom. He didn't talk too much. He wasn't looking for esteem and looking for position. They don't believe me. Give me another precept.
Matthew 12:14 and 19.
Come on, read.
But the Pharisees went out and took counsel against him, so as to destroy him. But Yahusha, knowing it, withdrew from there. And large crowds followed him. And he healed them all, and warned them not to make him known.
Warned them not to make him known. He wasn't looking for position or importance or a platform. No, he wasn't. And if you are, you don't belong to him. You don't have his character. Always running your mouth. He didn't always run his. He doesn't always run his. He ain't always talking. He is Tom. He is perfect. We must be perfect. And part of being perfect is being quiet and gentle. Oh, gentle is the fruit of the Ruach. If you have his Ruach, you ought to have his nature and his character. His nature and his character is the fruit of the Ruach. Oh, he's Tom. He's quiet and he's gentle. Come on, read.
In order that what was spoken by Yashayahu the prophet
Come on.
might be filled, saying, See my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved in whom my being did delight. I shall put my spirit upon him, and he shall declare right ruling to the nation. He shall not strive, nor cry out.
Oh, wait a minute. He shall not strive? So in other words, he ain't on Facebook debating all the time. He ain't on Facebook looking for a position and always commenting, always talking, always running their mouth. He ain't striving. He's not striving because he's quiet and he's gentle. This is Yahuwah. This is his nature and his character. Come on, read.
Nor shall anyone hear his voice.
Nor shall what? Anyone hear his voice. He wasn't always running his mouth. Oh, go run and get your fig leaves. Go run and get them. You naked. You naked. Go run and get your fig leaves. Oh, you can't fake it till you make it no more. No, you can't. You've been exposed. You have been exposed. Go run and get your fig leaves. Fall at his feet, naked and ashamed. Allow him to cover your nakedness and to cover your shame. And to forgive you and perhaps give you his Ruach for real. Read.
1 Kings 19, 9, 12. And there he went into a cave and spent the night there. And see, the word of Yahuwah came to him and said to him, What are you doing here, Eliyahu? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, for the children of Yasharel have forsaken your covenant. They have thrown down your slaughter places, and they have killed your prophets with the sword, and I am left, I alone, and they seek my life to take it. And he said, Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahuwah, and see Yahuwah pass by, and a great and strong wind tearing the mountains and breaking the rocks in pieces before Yahuwah. Yahuwah was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. Yahuwah was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. Yahuwah was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice.
A what?
Still small voice.
A what?
Still small voice.
What's the Hebrew word for still?
Damama.
Damama?
Yes.
Barak Yahuwah. Damama. What does damama mean?
Calm. Quiet.
Quiet.
Whisper.
Whisper. Quiet. He ain't talking all the time. He's quiet. He's gentle. If you have his Ruach, you have his nature, and you have his character. Oh, this is the ancient path. The ancient path is Torah. The ancient path means to walk the perfect way. It means to walk in perfection. It means to walk as a citizen of Shamayim. It means to walk even as Yahuwah walks. It means to have his very nature and his very character. And his nature and his character is perfect. It is Tom. It is perfect. It is gentle. Oh, go run. Get your fig leaves. Get your fig leaves. Go run and get your fig leaves. Go run and get your fig leaves. You've been exposed. You've been exposed. And it is my prayer that as this sword begins to swing and cut, that it is indeed cutting you, and convicting you to fall naked before his feet and allow him to cover your shame and perhaps forgive your crimes and fill you with his Ruach. Basham Yahusha. Basham Yahusha. And so continuing this ancient path, we see that our ancient fathers were perfect. And we see that part of that characteristic of being perfect is being quiet and gentle, so that we can hear from him, so that we can hear his instructions, which are instructions for life. How can you hear him if you're always running your mouth? So now as we continue, we're going to see that all of our righteous fathers were perfect. Barak Yahuwah. What's next, little one?
Galatians 5:22 and 23. But the fruit of the root
is what?
But the fruit of the root is love, joy, shalom, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, gentleness.
Gentleness. Oh, here's that gentleness again. You see, all of these words are interconnected. There's only one fruit. It's not fruits. There's only one fruit. So you can't say that you love Yahuwah if you're not these things. And you can't be perfect unless you're these things. Gentleness.
Self-control.
Self-control. You ain't got no self-control because you're always running your mouth. You're always talking. You have no self-control. You're always running your mouth. And that's not the nature and character of Yahuwah. Come on, read.
Against such there is no Torah.
Against such there is no Torah. Against such there is no condemnation. Against such there is no condemnation. Is in other words what it is saying. There is against such there is no Torah that condemns this behavior. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Come on.
You have the definition of gentleness.
Come on, read. What's the definition of gentleness?
The quality of being kind, tender, or mild-mannered, kindness, kindliness, humanness, humanity, mercy, clemency, forgiveness, forbearance, sympathy, consideration, understanding, compassion, benevolence, kind-hearted, tender-hearted, good-natured, mild, soft, still, placidness.
Wait a minute, still? It just spoke of still above. Go ahead, read.
Repose, reverence, and meekness.
And meekness. And meekness. And meekness. What's next?
You have your own note.
And meekness. Note. Did you read quiet in there? Is quiet one of those? It should
quietness,
be.
Quietness.
Quietness. She missed that one. Quietness. Quietness. To be gentle means to be quiet. To be calm means to be quiet and gentle. Quiet and gentle. Listen, if you always running your mouth, don't claim that you know Yahuwah. You don't. As we just read, his nature is quiet and gentle. But the nature of Hashatan is he is always running his mouth. He is always talking. He never stops talking. He's always accusing the brethren. Always. You run around talking about what you heard. What you heard from Yahuwah. You ain't heard nothing. You're too busy running your mouth. You're too busy talking to hear him speak. You're too busy looking for a platform, looking for a position, looking for importance. Oh, this is a stench in Yasha'al. It is a stench. You don't have the nature and character of my father. Quit lying on him. And right now, you don't belong to him. You don't know him and he don't know you because he hasn't entered you. Had he entered you, you would have taken on his nature and his character. He don't talk all the time. He is perfect. He is quiet. He is gentle. He is complete. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Read, little one.
Barak Yahuwah. Your personal note. Okay. Not only our daughters of Zion are to have a meek and quiet ruach.
Not only are daughters of Zion to have a meek and quiet ruach. Yes, you are. Read.
As stated in 1 Kapha chapter 3.
As stated in 1 Kapha chapter 3.
But also the sons of Zion.
But also the sons of Zion, if you have the nature and character of your father.
In this we display the character of Yahuwah.
In this we display the character of our Father, having a meek and quiet ruach.
His very nature is Tom. He is quiet.
He is quiet.
Gentle. Perfect.
Yes.
And complete.
And complete.
If we are in covenant with him,
yes,
we will display this very same character.
We will display this very same character.
He is intentional. He does not speak all the time.
He does not speak all the time. If you say he's speaking to you all the time, you're lying. He don't speak all the time. He chooses his moments. Read.
As it is written.
Read.
Ayub answered and said, truly I know it is so.
Hold on. As it is written, what's the...
Ayub 9:1-3.
Ayub, Job 9:1-3. Read.
And he, as it is written, Ayub answered and said, truly I know it is so. But how is man right with Elohim? If one wished to dispute with him, he would not answer him one time out of 1,000.
He would not answer him one time in 1,000. He don't talk all the time. Read.
1 Kapha 3:1-4. In the same way, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that any are disobedient to the word, they without a word might be won by the behavior of their wives, having seen your blamelessness behavior in fear.
Having seen your blamelessness. To be blameless means to be perfect. It means to be Tom. Come on, read.
Your adornment should not be outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold or putting on dresses, but the hidden man of the heart.
Oh, you worried about your long dresses and your head scarves. You worried about the outer man when the inner man is putrid. It stinks to him. It is a stench to his nostrils. Your self-righteous self thinking that your outer adornment makes you righteous. Oh, hell is full of self-righteous people. You don't display his character. You don't display his nature. You talk too much. Come on, read.
With the incorruptible ornament of a meek, gentle, and quiet spirit.
A meek, gentle, and quiet spirit.
Which is of great value.
Which is of great value before Elohim. Being Tom. Being Tom, having his nature and his character. And this is applicable to both man and woman. If you claim or if you boast in having this ruach, you're to have a meek and quiet spirit. This is a part of being perfect. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Read, little one.
Jubilees 27:13-17. And it came to pass after Yaakov had arisen to go to Aram Naharam, that the root of Ribkah was grieved after her son, and she wept. And Ishkak said to Rabkah, my sister, weep not on account of Yaakov my son, for he goes in Shalom, and in Shalom will he return. All Ayun will guard him for all evil, and will be with him, for he will not forsake him all his days. For I know that his ways will be prospered in all things wherever he goes, until he return in Shalom to us. And we see him in Shalom. Fear not on account, my sister, on his account, for he is on the upright path, and he is a perfect man.
He is on the upright path, and he is a perfect man. I told you they were perfect. He was Tom. He was a perfect man. Read.
And he is steadfast and will not perish.
And he is steadfast and will not perish. If you are perfect, you won't perish. If you are perfect, you will not perish. Give them the scripture and then give them a little moment to catch up.
Okay.
So that they can catch up and follow along with us.
Okay.
Give us another precept.
Dabarim, Deuteronomy 18:9-14.
Deuteronomy
18, 9-14.
9-14. Deuteronomy 18, 9-14.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready. You ready?
Deuteronomy 18, 9-14.
When you come into the land which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you, do not learn to do according to the abominations of the nation. Let no one be found among you who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices divination, or a user of magic, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spell, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls upon the dead. For whoever does this is an abomination to Yahuwah. And because of these abominations, Yahuwah your Elohim drives them out from before you. Be perfect.
Be what?
Be perfect.
Be what?
Be perfect.
Be what? They don't hear you speak.
Be perfect.
Come from your diaphragm. Be what?
Be perfect.
Oh, you speak from your diaphragm. Come from down deep. I want them to hear it.
Be perfect.
Be perfect. Read.
Before Yahuwah your Elohim. For these nations whom you are possessing do listen to those using magic and to diviners. But as for you, Yahuwah your Elohim has not appointed such for you.
Be perfect. Be perfect. Whoever said that we can't be perfect is a liar, and the truth is not in them. If you have his perfect Ruach in you and you are a citizen of above, you can be perfect because you have his very nature and character coursing in you. Indeed, that's the question, isn't it? Which Ruach is in you? That's the question. Which Ruach resides in you? Read.
Talahim, Psalms 15, 1 through 5.
Tahalim 15.
1 through 5.
1 through 5. Tahalim 15. Psalms 15. 1 through 5.
Yahuwah.
Psalms. Tahalim 15. 1 through 5.
Barak Yahuwah.
Read.
Yahuwah, who does sojourn in your tent? Who does dwell in your Kadush mountain?
Who dwells there?
He who walks perfectly.
Who does what?
He who walks perfectly.
Who does what?
He who walks perfectly.
What's that word in the Ivory?
Tamim.
Tamim. The word Tom comes from the word Tamim rather comes from Tom. Tamim is Tom in the plural. They both mean perfect. They both mean gentle and quiet and complete. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. If you ain't perfect, you're not getting to the mountain of Yahuwah. I didn't say it. The text says it. Start from the beginning. Read it over again, please.
Yahuwah, who does sojourn in your tent? Who does dwell in your Kadush mountain?
Yes.
He who walks perfectly and does righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart.
Barak Yahuwah.
He is not slandered with his tongue. He has not done evil to his neighbor, nor lifted up a reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a reprobate one is despised. But he esteems those who revere Yahuwah.
Yes.
He who swears to his own hurt and does not change. He has not put out his silver at interest, and has not taken a bribe against the innocent. He who does these is never moved.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah. He is perfect. Part of being perfect is being quiet and gentle, but perfect is to operate, is to walk in righteousness, in obedience to Torah, and having the very nature and character of our Father, which is perfection. Read.
Psalms 19:7.
Psalms 19:7. Psalms chapter 19, verse 7. Psalms chapter 19, verse 7. Read.
The Torah of Yahuwah is perfect.
Oh, they didn't believe me. I told them it was perfect. Abba told them that the Torah is perfect. It's perfect because it's Yahuwah. The ancient path is Torah. It is perfect. It is perfect. And part of the characteristics of what you should look like walking this ancient path is, yes, obedience, righteousness, walking in this Torah, doing the Torah, doing righteousness, and not just being a hearer, but a doer of righteousness, but also being quiet and complete. Read.
Bringing back the being.
Start over.
The Torah of Yahuwah is perfect, bringing back the being. The witness of Yahuwah is trustworthy, making wise the simple.
Barak Yahuwah. Read.
Psalms 37:18. Yahuwah knows the way.
Wait. Psalms 37, chapter 18. Psalms chapter 37, verse 18. Psalms chapter 37, verse 18. Read.
Yahuwah knows the way of the perfect.
He what?
Yahuwah knows the way of the perfect.
He what?
Yahuwah knows the way of the perfect.
Yahuwah knows the way of the perfect. Is that word tamim?
Yes.
Barak Yahuwah, tamim, which is the plural of tam. Tamim, because we're talking about many people here. And so he knows the way of the perfect, the tamim, quiet and gentle. Read.
And their inheritance is forever.
Oh, and their inheritance is forever. Let's translate this. Let's let Abba translate this. You ain't gonna get into the rain running your mouth. No. It says the way of the perfect, Yahuwah knows, and their inheritance is forever. Tamim, gentle and quiet. You ain't getting in running your mouth all the time, looking for a platform, looking for your own esteem. You're not getting in. No. You're going to that place where they're going to be talking all the time with their masters. Yes, it does. It says it's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yes, it does. And they ain't going to never stop. They ain't going to never stop weeping and gnashing their teeth. So they going there running their mouths. They're going there being imperfect. But you're not entering into life being imperfect. If you're not born from above, in the words of Yahushua HaMashiach, verily, verily, I say unto you, unless one is born from above, he cannot see the reign of Elohim. You got to be perfect. And you've got to have the nature and the character of our Father, which is perfection. And he is quiet and gentle. Come on, read.
Psalms 101, 1 through 8.
Psalms 101, 1 through 8. Psalms, Tahalim, 101, 1 through 8. Abba sent me by on this searching for the ancient path teaching to let us know that they were perfect, that he is perfect, and that we must be perfect if we profess and boast in being in covenant with him. Tom, again, to break that word down, Tom, and it is comprised of the Hebrew letters Ta and Mom. Ta is indicative of covenant. And Mom, which means water, is indicative of Ruach. And so this is the characteristic. Whenever you see Tom, this is the nature and the characteristic of someone who is in covenant with Yahuwah. That person is perfect. That person is complete. That person is quiet. That person is gentle. Yes, he or she is. Yes, they are. Oh, look around. Look around, Yasharal. Look around. Their nakedness has been exposed. Their nakedness has been exposed. And everyone under the sound of my voice, if your nakedness has been exposed, you ought to be running for your fig leaves right now. Falling at his feet. The place where there is covering for your nakedness and forgiveness of your crimes. Read.
I sing of loving commitment and right ruling. To you, O Yahuwah, I sing praises. I act wisely in a perfect way.
In a what?
In a perfect way.
In a what?
In a perfect way.
Tamim, read.
When do you come to me? I walk in the midst of my house with a perfect heart.
With what?
With a perfect heart.
With what?
With a perfect heart.
Tamim, read.
I set no matter of Belial before my eyes. I hate the work of those who fall away. It does not cleave to me. A perverse heart turns away from me. I do not know evil. Him who secretly slanders his neighbor, I cut off. I do not tolerate one who has a haughty look and a proud heart. My eyes are on the trustworthy of the land to dwell with me. He who walks in a perfect way.
In a what?
A perfect way.
In a what?
In a perfect way.
Tamim, read.
He serves me. He who practices deceit does not dwell in my house. He who speaks lies does not stand in my presence. Each morning I uproot all the wrong of the land to cut off all the workers of wickedness from the city of Yahuwah.
Let me explain something to you. Let Abba explain something to you. Then I'm going to ask my Aisha to read this again. Yahuwah is the sovereign of Yasha'al. Yahuwah is the sovereign of the earth. Yasha'al was never meant to have a sovereign. And this is why Yahuwah was wroth with Yasha'al when they asked for a sovereign. Because it wasn't Shamuel that they were rejecting. It was Yahuwah that they were rejecting as their sovereign. He is our sovereign. But because he knows the end from the beginning, he made allowance in Deuteronomy chapter 17. When he said, if you get into your land and if you ever desire a sovereign, go ahead and choose a sovereign. But let this sovereign write for himself the Torah that is in the possession of the priest, which is to say, Kahani. And let him meditate on that Torah day and night, so as not to exalt himself above his brothers. Indeed, the Torah is the great equalizer. All of us are equal under Torah. None of us are above Torah. All of us, many of us have different roles within the body, but none of us are above Torah. Torah makes us equal because none of us are above the Torah. Nevertheless, he allowed Yasha'al to have a sovereign. Why? Because Yasha'al represents the remnant of mankind. In Yasha'al is the expectation, the hope of mankind with respect to the restoration of the everlasting covenant. The everlasting covenant was renewed with Yasha'al and nobody else. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was renewed with Yasha'al. Yasha'al again being the remnant of mankind, representing Adam, representing the second Adam. And so for mankind to enter into everlasting life, they must engraft into Yasha'al, and whereby becoming fellow citizens of Yasha'al, and whereby becoming fellow partakers of the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Nevertheless, the dominion of the earth was given to Adam. And by extension, Yasha'al, because Yasha'al means what? Means to rule with Elohim. So the dominion of the earth was given to Yasha'al. It's given to man. Yahuwah gave the earth to man, and he gave the earth for mankind to rule and to govern. And so our master, being just and righteous, will not go where he does not have a legal right to be. And so in order to establish his throne in the earth forever, it had to be done through a man. Understanding that he is the ruler of Yasha'al, and thus the rulers, the sovereigns of Yasha'al, represented him. They represented him. And they were in turn supposed to rule and govern just like him. But the only one that ruled and governed just like him was Sovereign Dawood. He was the only one that ruled and governed just like him. Thus, through Sovereign Dawood, he established his throne in the earth forever. And thus he will sit on the throne, established through Dawood, and govern his people on the Arats forever and ever. Now I bring your attention again that the only one that ruled like him, just like him, was Sovereign Dawood. Now read that again, Psalms 101.
I sing of loving commitment and right ruling. To you, O Yahuwah, I sing praises. I act wisely in a perfect way.
Oh, in a what?
In a perfect way.
Who acts wisely in a perfect way? Yahuwah does. Come on, read.
When do you come to me? I walk in the midst of my house with a perfect heart.
Well, who has a perfect heart? Yahuwah does. Come on, read.
I set no matter of Belial before my eyes.
There is nothing above Yahuwah. Everything is below him. There is no unrighteousness in him. Come on, read.
I hate the work of those who fall away.
Oh, I pray you understand. He ruled like Yahuwah. Read.
It does not cleave to me. A perverse heart turns away from me.
Oh, perverse hearts, they turn away from Yahuwah. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Read.
I do not know evil.
Oh, do you understand that he ruled like Yahuwah? Yahuwah knows no evil. Read.
Him who secretly slanders his neighbor, I cut off.
Oh, see? Yeah, sowing those seeds of discord, slandering your neighbor, speaking untruths about your neighbor, oh, he's going to cut you off. That ain't perfection. That ain't perfection. He is going to cut you off. Read.
I do not tolerate one who has a haughty look and a proud heart.
Wait, yes, he resists the proud. He rude like Yahuwah. He resists the proud. Read.
My eyes are on the trustworthy of the land to dwell with me. He who walks in a perfect way.
He who what?
He who walks in a perfect way.
He who what?
He who walks in a perfect way.
Oh, you're not going to dwell in his land unless you are walking in a perfect way. He ruled like Yahuwah. Read.
He serves me. He who practices deceit does not dwell in my house.
Oh, he ruled like Yahuwah. If you are practicing deceit, and he sees you, he sees you. If you are practicing deceit and not operating perfectly, you are not going to dwell in his house. They were perfect. We must be perfect as he is perfect. Read.
He who speaks lies does not stand in my presence.
Oh, all you who speak lies. All you who are with all those slanderings, speaking lies against his servants, sowing seeds of discord. Read that again.
He speaks lies. He who speaks lies does not stand in my presence.
You ain't going to stand in his presence. You're not going to stand in his presence because this is not perfection. Read.
Each morning I uproot all the wrong of the land.
Oh, he ruled like Yahuwah. I pray you're paying attention. He ruled like Yahuwah. Read.
To cut off all the workers of wickedness.
Oh, they're going to be cut off. You're going to be cut off. Listen, either you are perfect or imperfect. Either you are righteous or unrighteous. Unrighteous translates to wicked or wickedness. Read.
From the city of Yahuwah. Psalms 119:80.
Tahalim 119:80. Psalms Tahalim 119:80. Psalms 119:80. Read.
Let my heart be perfect in your instructions.
Let my heart be perfect. Tamim, in your instructions.
So that I am not put to shame.
Oh, he told you already that we must be perfect. He ain't accepting no excuses. We must be perfect. They were perfect. Dawood was perfect. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. It said that he committed one transgression his whole life. Adam, as we're going to read, as we're going to see, when I say they were perfect, we're going back to the very beginning. Indeed, they were perfect. Adam was created perfect, was he not? Yes, he was. He created one transgression. He committed one transgression when he partook of that fruit. He was perfect. He was perfect. And so were his sons that came from his progeny. They were perfect. The progeny that came from Adam goes all the way through the generations, as we're going to see. All the way down through the generations to Noach, who we read in the text was perfect. Kanuk was perfect. Sham was perfect. Abba was perfect. Abraham was perfect. Yitzchak was perfect. Yaakub was perfect. Yahusef was perfect. Ephraim was perfect. All the way down to our perfect Mashiach, who came as the firstborn. Who came as Yasha'al. You boast in being his firstborn? You can't be his firstborn unless you were born from him. And if you were born from him, you are perfect as he is perfect. Oh, this goes all the way back to Adam. This perfection. This goes past Adam, back to our father Yahuwah, who is perfect. Come on, read.
Proverbs 2:1-22.
Proverbs 2.
1-22.
1-22. Proverbs 2:1-22. Mashal of Proverbs 2:1-22. Mashal of Proverbs 2:1-22. Read, little one.
My son, if you accept my words and treasure up my command with you, so that you make your ear attend to Hakmah Incline your heart to understanding, for if you cry for discernment, lift up your voice for understanding. If you seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures, then you would understand the reverence of Yahuwah and find the knowledge of Elohim. For Yahuwah gives Hakmah. Out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. And he treasures up stability for the straight, a shield to those walking perfectly.
Walking what?
Walking perfectly.
He's a shield for who?
For those walking perfectly.
They don't believe me. Read it again. He's a shield for who?
For those walking perfectly.
Tamim, read.
To watch over the paths of right ruling, and the way of his lovingly committed ones he guards. Then you would understand righteousness and right ruling and straightness, every good path. For Hakmah would enter your heart, and knowledge be pleasant to your being. Discretion would guard you, understanding would watch over you to deliver you from the evil way, from the man who speaks perversities, those who leave the paths of straightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil. They delight in the perversities of evil, whose paths are crooked, and they are perverted in their ways. To deliver you from the strange woman, for the foreigner who flatters with her words, who forsakes the companion of her youth.
Oh, he uses flattering lips with a foreigner. Yeah. Because if you have flattering lips, you are a foreigner. You are estranged from the covenants. You are far from him with your flattering lips. He don't know you. You talk too much. Read.
And has forgotten the covenant of her Elohim. For her house has sunk down to death, and her paths to the dead. None going into her does return, nor do they reach the paths of life. So walk in the way of goodness, and guard the paths of the righteousness. For the straight shall dwell in the earth.
Shall the straight, the perfect, shall dwell in the earth. Read.
And the perfect be left in it.
And the perfect be left in it. Ain't no imperfect people coming into the reign. That's not your inheritance. That ain't yours. Your inheritance is with the imperfect people who do not guard righteousness and who are not quiet and gentle, who are always running their mouths. That's your inheritance. That's yours. But the renewed earth and the renewed Shemayim are for perfect ones. Read.
But the wrong shall be cut off from the earth.
The who?
The wrong shall be cut off.
The imperfect. The imperfect. The imperfect. Those that are not calm, quiet, and gentle, who operate in righteousness, and who are always running their mouths. Read.
And the treacherous one plucked out of it.
Oh, go run and get your fig leaves. Read.
Mishaleh 11, 5, and 20.
Proverbs 11, 5 through 20.
It's 5. You get 5, comma, 20.
Okay. Proverbs 11, 5 and 20. Proverbs of Mashal. Chapter 11, 5 and 20. Read.
Okay. The righteousness of the perfect.
What?
The righteousness of the perfect.
What?
The righteousness of the perfect.
Oh, you thought it was a game. We must be perfect. We must be perfect. We must be perfect. And if you have his Ruach, you can operate in perfection. And if you have your Ruach, there ought to be some characteristics. There ought to be some characteristics. The main characteristic is what? It's righteousness. It's perfection. But you also ought to have the characteristic in which our Father has of being quiet and gentle in nature. Read.
The righteousness of the perfect makes his way straight, but by his own wrongness, the wrong one falls. The perverse of heart are an abomination to Yahuwah, but the perfect in the way are his delight.
The perfect in the way are his delight. You think that pleases him by you running your mouth all the time? Sowing seeds of discord? Always somewhere running your mouth? instead of sitting down and instead of sitting down at his feet and listening to his voice for his instructions, you ain't pleasing to him. He does not delight in you. He does not delight in you. And he does not know you. Read.
Mishaleh 28:18.
Proverbs 28:18. Proverbs 28:18. Nothing but the perfect are going to enter. Proverbs 28:18. You can make all the excuses that you want. You can make all of the excuses that you want. Only the perfect are going to enter in. Proverbs 28:18. Read.
He who walks perfectly.
He who what?
He who walks perfectly.
He who what?
He who walks perfectly is saved.
Ew, goodness gracious. He who walks perfectly is delivered. He who walks perfectly is delivered. Oh, messenger, what about grace? What about grace? What about favor? For by favor we have been delivered, not of works, lest any man should boast. Oh, what about that favor? What about that favor? It is by favor. Favor is the belief in the offering of the body of the Hamashiach, and not by the slaughtering of bulls and goats and sheep. So then, now that we have been delivered from crime, do we continue in crime? In the words of Sha'al, Shamayim, or heaven forbid. How can we continue in crime if we have died to it? Now the words here of Sha'al alludes to what? It alludes to covenant. Indeed, a covenant is only permanent when the covenant one dies. When the covenant one dies. And if you are in covenant with him, if his Ruach has entered you, then you can walk perfectly. And if you walk perfectly, oh, somebody talk back to me. Somebody turn to Romans chapter 8 really quick before Ashiach goes on. Somebody turns to Romans chapter 8, please. Hurry up. Actually, no. Somebody turn to Romans chapter 7 first. Let me know when you're there.
Have it, Elder.
Okay, start at around verse 8.
But sin having taken the occasion, though the command did work in me all sorts of covetousness, for apart from Torah, sin is dead. And I was alive apart from the Torah once, but when the command came, the sin revived, and I died. And the command which was the result in life, this I found to result in death.
The command that was to result in life, indeed, if we obey the words of the Torah, we will live. We will live. If we disobey the words of the Torah, we will die. Here, Sha'al is talking about the battle between the flesh and the Ruach, between walking in the flesh and walking in the Ruach. If you walk in the flesh, you're going to die, because that means that you're a citizen from below, and that means that you are imperfect. But if you walk according to the Ruach, you will live. Read.
For sin having taken occasion through the command deceived me, and through it killed me, so that the Torah truly is set apart, and the command set apart, and righteous and good. Therefore has that which is good become death to me? Let it not be. But the sin that sin might be manifest was working death in me through what is good, so that sin through the command might become an exceedingly great sinner. Well, we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly, sold under sin.
It comes from above. It is Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Come on,
What
read.
I work, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, read.
For what I work, I know not. For what I wish, that I do not practice. What I hate, that I do. But if I do what I do not wish, I agree with the Torah, that it is good. And now it is no longer I that work it, but the sin dwelling in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwells no good. For to wish is present with me, but to work the good I do not find. For the good that I wish to do, I do not do. But the evil I do not wish to do, this I practice.
See, this is what happens when you're a citizen of below. We don't have his ruach. This is what happens. And if you continue being a citizen of below, you're going to die. Come on, read.
And if I do that which I do not wish, it is no longer I who work it, but the sin dwelling in me. I find therefore this law, that when I wish to do the good, that the evil is present with me. For I delight in the Torah of Elohim according to the inward man. But I see another Torah in my members battling against the Torah of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the Torah of sin which is in my members. Wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of death? Thanks to Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach our Master. So then with the mind I myself truly serve the Torah of Elohim, but with the flesh the Torah of sin.
Come on, chapter 8.
There is then now no condemnation.
No condemnation. You ain't going to that place where they always talking, where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. There is no condemnation to who?
To those who are in Messiah Yahushua.
To those who are in Messiah Yahushua, who haven't been born from above, and who are now walking the perfect way in perfection. Read.
Who do not walk according to the flesh.
Who do not walk as citizens of below. Read.
For the Torah of the root of the life in Messiah Yahushua has set me free from the Torah of sin and of death. For the Torah being powerless in that it was weak through the flesh, Elohim having sent his own Son in the likeness of flesh of sin, and concerning sin, condemned sin in the flesh, so that the righteousness of the Torah should be completed in us, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the root.
Who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the ruach. What is the righteousness of Torah? That we keep it, that we guard it, that we obey it. The righteousness of Torah must be fulfilled in us. The righteousness of Torah is obedience to it. This is how we become righteous. And we cannot do it if we are not walking in the Ruach of the Mashiach. If we are not walking in the Ruach HaKadosh. If we are not walking as citizens of above. If we're walking as citizens if we are walking as citizens of above, there is no more condemnation. But if we walk as citizens of below, we will die. There is only two choices: perfection and imperfection. Being born from above and being born from below. These are the only two choices. There are two seeds. There are the good seeds, and there is the seed of the wicked one. These seeds are going to be separated at the end. There is only two seeds. There's only two ways. The path of righteousness, the path of perfection that leads to everlasting life, and the imperfect way that leads to destruction. There's only two ways. There's only two ways. And if we again are born from above, if we are born from above in the same way in which Yahushua was born, if we are reborn in the same way as he walked the perfect way, we too can walk the perfect way. Read a little bit more and I'll let you know when to stop. Keep reading.
For those who live according to the flesh, that their minds on the matters of the flesh.
Yes.
But those who live according to the root,
yes,
the matters of the root.
Yes.
For the mind of the flesh is death.
Is what?
It's death.
Yes.
The mind of the root is life and shalom. Because the mind of the flesh is envy toward Elohim, for it does not subject itself to the Torah of Elohim, neither indeed is it able. And those who are in the flesh are unable to please Elohim. But you are not in the flesh, but in the Ruach. And if indeed the Ruach of Elohim dwells in you, and if anyone does not have the Ruach of Messiah, this one is not his. And if Messiah is in you, the body is truly dead on account of sin, but the Ruach is life on account of righteousness. And if the Ruach of him who raised Yahusha from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Messiah from the dead shall also give life to you, to your mortal bodies, through his Ruach dwelling in you. So then, brothers, we are not debtors to the flesh to live according to the flesh. For if you live according to the flesh, you are going to die. But if by the Ruach you put to death the deeds of the body, you shall live. For as many are as led by the Ruach of Elohim, these are the sons of Elohim.
Barak Yahuwah. For as many that are led by the Ruach of Elohim, these are the sons of Elohim. In other words, the Ruach is going to what? He is going to lead you in the path of righteousness. He is going to lead you in the path of perfection. He is going to lead you as a citizen of Shamayim and not a citizen of the earth. And you are going to walk in his nature and his character, and you're going to be perfect, and you will live. You ain't always running your mouth. You're not always running your mouth. Read, little one.
But the perverted of ways fall at once.
Start over with that.
He who walks perfectly is saved.
Is saved. He who walks perfectly is saved. And we just read about this in Romans 8:1. Therefore is now no condemnation to those who walk in the Ruach, who walk not according to the flesh, but according to the Ruach. There is no condemnation. They will be saved. They are perfect because they walk in his perfect Ruach. Read.
But the perverted of ways fall at once.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Keep reading.
Hazun 14, 1 through 5.
Oh, come on. Revelation 14, 1 through 5. Revelation 14, 1 through 5. Revelation 14, 1 through 5. How much time?
1 hour and 8 minutes.
Barak Yahuwah. Revelation 14, 1 through 5. Read.
And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written upon their foreheads. And I heard a voice out of the heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps, and they sang a renewed song before the throne, and before the four living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. These are those who were not defiled with women, for they are maidens. They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on.
Wherever he leads them. They follow the Torah wherever it leads them. Read.
They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Elohim and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood.
No falsehood was found in their mouths.
For they are perfect.
Oh, they are what?
For they are perfect.
Whoa. Say it again. They are what?
For they are perfect.
They are Tom. They are Tom. They are perfect. It's mandatory. It's mandatory. All of our righteous fathers were perfect. And we too must be perfect. Both the remnant within the remnant must be perfect. And those coming out of the great distress must be perfect. as we've read throughout these precepts, that nothing but the perfect are going to enter into life, are going to inherit the earth. Nothing but the perfect are going to enter in. Read, little one.
For they are perfect before the throne of Elohim.
They are perfect. They are perfect. They are Tom. And as we have discovered, part of the characteristic of being perfect, a Tom, is being quiet and gentle. Why does Abba keep harping on being quiet and gentle? Because if you're always running your mouth, you cannot hear him. And he has shown me that most talk too much. Most talk too much. Thus they reveal whose character they have. Most in the so-called house of Yasha'al, you talk too much. You talk too much. You're always running your mouth. You talk too much. You don't have his nature and his character. And he sent me by to pull your clothes off today and send you running for your fig leaves. You talk too much. You're not looking to esteem him. You're looking to esteem yourself. You want a platform. You want a position. You want to be reverenced. You want to be important. That's why you're always talking. That's why you're always running your mouth. And that's not the nature and the character of Yahuwah. And we see this all over the landscape of Yasha'al. Those who call themselves Yasha'al. Yasha'al, his name before being changed to Yasha'al was Yaakub. And we saw the nature of Yaakub. It says that he was a complete man, a Tom man, a man of the tents. And his children are like him. His children are like Yitzchak, who was the same. And are like Abraham, who was the same. Their children have their character. Their children have the very nature and character of Yahuwah in which they themselves had. And so that narrows this walk a whole lot. That narrows this thing a whole lot. Because most people, talk too much. Most of them talk too much. And that's not the character of someone in covenant with Yahuwah. Indeed, looking at Tom, Tau, and Mom, that's not the character of someone walking in covenant with Yahuwah. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, it's time for a character check. It's time for a character check. It's time to trade in your fig leaves. Let him clothe you in his righteousness. Stop talking so much. Read.
Bereshith 1, 26 and 28. 26 through 28.
Bereshith 1.
26 through 28.
Bereshith 1, 26 through 28. Bereshith 1, 26 through 28. Bereshith 1, 26 through 28. Bereshith 1, 26 through 28. That is Genesis. That is Genesis. I apologize for those who don't understand Hebrew or Arabic. That is Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 28. Read, little one.
And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the shamayim, and over the livestock, and over all the earth and all the creeping creatures that creep on the ground. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim he created him. Male and female he created them. And Elohim baruched them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and increase.
Be fruitful and increase.
And replenish the earth and subdue it.
And replenish the earth and subdue it.
And rule over the fish of the sea.
And rule over the fish of the sea.
And over the birds of the heavens.
And over the birds of the heavens.
And over all creeping creatures on the earth.
And over all creeping creatures on the earth. What Abba is getting ready to show you is that this was the establishment of an everlasting covenant. This was the establishment of an everlasting covenant. Adam was Tom. He was Tom. He didn't talk a lot. He was Tom. And this was the establishment of an everlasting covenant. And as Abba is going to show us, as he renewed his everlasting covenant with our forefathers, he is going to speak these exact same words. Replenish the earth. Multiply. Replenish the earth. This is the renewing of the everlasting covenant. I will multiply your seed as the stars of the Shamayim. Yeah, he said it. This is the renewing of the everlasting covenant. And those who are in covenant with him, and which he has renewed his covenant, in other words, he has entered you, you ought to have their character and their nature. If you ain't got this character and this nature, you're not in covenant with him. If he has not entered you, you are not in covenant with him. Read.
Bereshith, Genesis 9:1-2.
Now, this is Nuach. This is after the earth has been destroyed because of wickedness, because of those who were imperfect. But he did what? He saved 8 perfect beings. Yes, he did. Abba called him perfect. He said Noah was perfect. He was Tom. It said he was perfect. And he was saved. And we've read in the text that only the perfect are going to be saved. As we just read in Proverbs. Only the perfect are going to be saved. It is only the perfect who are in covenant with him. These are not my words. These are his. Only the perfect are in covenant with him. Only the perfect are in covenant with him. If you say you're in covenant with him and you are not walking perfectly, you are lying. If you say you're in covenant with him and you run in your mouth, always run in your mouth, you're lying. You're lying. Oh, he has shown your nature and your character, and you ought to be running for the fig leaves this day. Read. Now this is after, again, the destruction of the earth. All imperfect life has been destroyed now. And the perfect ones were saved. And now here in Genesis of Bereshith 9, he is getting ready to what? To renew his everlasting covenant, the same one that he made with Adam. He is getting ready to renew it with who? With perfect Nuach. Read, little one.
And Elohim Baruch Nuach and his sons, and said to them, be fruitful and increase, and replenish the earth.
Yes.
And the fear of you and the dread of you is on every beast of the earth.
Yes.
On every bird of the heavens.
Yes.
On all that creeps on the ground.
Yes.
And on all the fish of the sea.
Yes.
Into your hands they have been given.
Yes. This is the same everlasting covenant that was made with Adam, with perfect Adam, and in which is only renewed with his perfect sons, those who have been born from above. He only renews it with firstborn sons. He only renews his covenant, his everlasting covenant, with firstborn sons, because only firstborn sons are going to inherit. This is the law of inheritance in accordance with Torah. And in order to be his firstborn son, you must be born from him. You must be born from above. Otherwise, you're not his son. As we just read in Romans chapter 8, if you do not have the Ruach of Yahushua, the Ruach of Elohim, you don't belong to him. You're not his son or his daughter. And if you are his son and his daughter, you ought to have his nature and his character. And part of his nature and his character is being calm, quiet, and gentle. He only renews his covenant with firstborn sons, those who are perfect. He only renews it with them. Read, little one.
Bereshith, Genesis 15, 1-6.
Bereshith of Genesis 15, 1-6. Genesis 15, 1-6. Bereshith, Genesis 1-6. Indeed, all of them were perfect because they walked perfect and upright before him. They walked the perfect way. They walked the ancient path. They were born from above, which empowered them and enabled them to walk perfect and upright before him, and which empowered them and enabled them to walk the ancient path. Read, little one. Genesis 15.
1-6.
1-6. Read.
After these events, the word of Yahuwah came to Abram in a vision, saying, do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward is exceedingly great.
Your reward is exceedingly great.
And Abram said, Master Yahuwah, What would you give me, seeing I go childless, and the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus? And Abraham said, see, you have given me no seed, and see, one born in my house is my heir. And see, the word of Yahuwah came to him, saying, this one is not your heir, but he who comes from your own body is your heir. And he brought him outside and said, look now toward the heavens, and count the stars if you are able to count them. And he said to him, so are your seed. And he believed in Yahuwah, and he reckoned it to him for righteousness.
In other words, replenish the earth. Your seed shall be as the stars of the Shamayim. Replenish the earth. This is the renewing of the everlasting covenant with him. And all of these men were righteous. All of these men were perfect. Being perfect and having the Ruach HaKadosh is synonymous. It's synonymous. And they had his nature and his character. They were calm, they were gentle, and they were quiet. If you're not gentle, if you're not quiet, if you don't have his Ruach, you're not in covenant with him. The covenant has not been renewed with you. You are not his firstborn son. You are not his firstborn son. Read.
Bereshit, Genesis 22:15 through 18.
Genesis 22:15 through 18. Genesis 22:15 through 18. Genesis 22:15 through 18. Read.
And the messenger of Yahuwah called to Abram a second time from the heavens, and said, by myself I have sworn, declares Yahuwah, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, that I shall certainly barak you, and I shall certainly increase your seed as the stars of the heavens.
I shall certainly increase your seed as the stars of the heavens. This is the renewing of the everlasting covenant with perfect Abraham. With perfect Abram. Read.
And as the sand which is on the seashore, and let your seed possess the gates of their enemies, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be Baruch, because you have obeyed my voice.
Barak Yahuwah. Read.
Bereshit, Genesis 26:1 through 5.
Genesis 26:1 through 5. Genesis 26:1 through 5. The everlasting covenant is only renewed with his perfect sons, with his firstborn son. It is synonymous. It is renewed when he enters us, when his Ruach enters us, when his perfect Ruach enters us, and then we are then reborn from above, or born from above, and born in like manner as Yahusha. It serves two purposes. It serves two purposes. We are now citizens of Shamayim and no longer citizens of the earth, and it also symbolizes that he has entered into covenant with us. And if his perfect Ruach has entered into us, then we are then now to take on his nature and his character, which is perfect. Which is perfect. Read, little one.
And there was a scarcity of food in the land, besides the first scarcity of food which was in the days of Abraham. And Ishkak went to Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines, in Gaar. And Yahuwah appeared to him and said, do not go down to Mitzrayim. Live in the land which I command you. Sojourn in this land, and I shall be with you and barak you. For I give all these lands to you and your seed. And I shall establish the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heaven. And I shall give all these lands to your seed. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be Baruch.
Oh, the renewing of the everlasting covenant that was made with Adam. Yashar being a representation of the remnant of Adam, the remnant of mankind, being made perfect. Being made perfect. He only renews his covenant with his perfect sons. With his perfect sons. Again, that is a synonymous action. That is a synonymous action. When he enters you, you are made perfect. When he enters us, we are made perfect. And when we are made perfect, we take on his nature and his character. We take on his very nature and his very character. Read, little one. Because
Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my instructions, and my Torah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah. We must be perfect. There is no other way. We must be perfect. and you must have some certain characteristics of being perfect. You must look, first and foremost, you must look and act like Yahuwah. And in looking and acting like Yahuwah, that must translate, and it does, it will translate into us looking and acting like our righteous, perfect fathers, who are perfect, who are righteous. And again, a part of being perfect and righteous is to be quiet and gentle in nature. Quiet and gentle in nature. So Abba wanted to show, he wanted to show that all of them were perfect. All of them were perfect. And if you boast of being in covenant with him, you too must be perfect. You too must be perfect. You must look like them. You must have their character and their nature, which translates into having the very character and nature of Yahuwah. And in having their character and their nature, and having the character and nature of Yahuwah himself, that translates into being perfect. That translates into being righteous and true and just. That translates into the fruit of the Ruach. That translates into being calm, into being quiet and gentle. Quiet and gentle. And now as we continue this walk, going back to the very beginning, this just didn't start with Abraham and Yitzchak and Jacob. This started in the very beginning with Adam. Barak Yahuwah. Where we at, little one?
We got one more. Bereshith 35:11.
Genesis 35:11. Genesis 35:11. Genesis 35:11. Genesis 35:11. Read, little one.
And Elohim said to him, I am Al Shaddai. Be fruitful and increase.
Do what?
Be fruitful and increase.
Be fruitful and increase. He's talking to Yaakov. He's talking to Yaakov here. What does he say?
Be fruitful and increase.
The renewing of the everlasting covenant with perfect men. He didn't make this covenant with Esau, with Ashu. Indeed, I mentioned Esau for a reason, because there are only two manner of men. Either you are Yaakov, either you are Yasha'al, or you are an Edomite, an Adamite. Either you are a good seed, or you are a seed of the wicked one. Either you are perfect or imperfect, righteous or unrighteous. There is no in between. There is no in between. He didn't make his covenant with Esau. Esau was wicked. He don't make it with Edomites. He don't renew it with Edomites. Esau ran his mouth. He was always talking. If he hadn't been quick to talk, he never would have lost his inheritance. Oh, he ran his mouth. And if you always run in your mouth, you a seed of Esau. You a seed of the wicked one. You a seed of Cain, who too was always running his mouth. You are not a seed of Yahuwah. No, you're not. Oh, go run and get your fig leaves. Go run and get your fig leaves. Start at the beginning again, little one. Genesis 35:11.
Yes. And Elohim said to him, I am Al Shaddai. Be fruitful and increase. A nation and a company of nations shall be from you, and sovereigns come from your body.
Barak Yahuwah. So once again, we see the renewing of the everlasting covenant here that was originally made with Adam. And Yaakov here, whose name was changed to Yasha'al. We see the renewing of the everlasting covenant. It wasn't made with any other people. The righteous Torah, which came from above, was given only to Yasha'al, only to us, which teaches us the path of righteousness, which teaches us the way of perfection, which teaches us the ancient path, which teaches us to be perfect. And so when a Gentile receives the righteous Torah, which was only given to Yasha'al, and he receives and he has the belief in the offering of the body of the Hamashiach, whereby receiving his Ruach, whereby now too being born from above, they too are now fellow citizens of Yasha'al and no longer considered Gentiles, but they too now are also being born from above, privy to the same everlasting covenant that was made with YAHUAH, which is a representation of Adam, with us and us alone. With us and us alone. And we must be perfect. If you boast of walking in covenant with him, to walk in covenant with him means to be perfect. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. To walk in covenant means to be perfect. Because he is perfect. It means to be perfect. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
First book of Adam and Kua, chapter 74.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Now we're going to go to the very beginning. We're going to go to the very beginning. We're not going to speak much longer because this teaching is still going to continue now for several weeks. It's going to continue for several weeks. And I want to make these teachings at a reasonable length so as not to lose the attention span of the listeners. And so I don't want to make them too long. And so it's going to continue. It's going to continue for several weeks because this path is too important. This path here must continue until we are on Mount Zion singing a song that no one else can sing. It must continue there. This season, this is a mu'adah. This is an appointed time. And this ancient path, this teaching, this message must continue. It must go to the nations. It must continue until we are gathered. Until we are gathered and standing on Mount Zion, standing before the Lamb, standing before Yahuwah, singing a song that no one else can sing. And so I want this to sink down deep. And I don't want to make these teachings too long because they are going to continue. There is no rush. They are going to continue. And prayerfully by now it is already sunk in that we must be perfect. And prayerfully by now you have already started to conduct the character check. And prayerfully by now some of you have already been sent running for your fig leaves because you're naked. Because you're naked. And so we're now going to start back at the very beginning as spoken to show that all of them were perfect. All of them, beginning with Adam. All of our righteous fathers were perfect. And so in continuing this journey, turn to the first book of Adam and Kua. If you're looking from the PDF, it would be the Forgotten Books of Eden. But it's going to be part 1. Part 1 of that. Part 74. And if there are those of you who do not have access to it, I would ask those who are in Zoom who have access to the PDF to please post that in the chat. And if our Caribbean family is still here, post it to them. I think, Malak, you have access to Michael. If you could share it with them as well. The first book of Adam and Kua, chapter 74, the Forgotten Books of Eden, chapter 74. What are we looking like for time?
Put my glasses on. Hour and 33 minutes.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. We're only going to go a little bit further.
Okay. Let's read this chapter if you want. Okay.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So we're only going to go so far, Mashpaka. We're gonna read this chapter. We're gonna read this chapter, and I'll let the Ruach lead. We may stop at this chapter. We may continue, but I don't again want to make these videos too long. I don't want to make these teachings too long because I don't want to lose the attention span. So we're going to start here reading the Forgotten Books of Adam and Kua, or the Forgotten Books of Eden. Which in some translations is the first book of Adam and Kua. And we're going to begin reading at chapter 74. Chapter 74. Okay. Go ahead, little one.
The birth of Cain and Lulawa, why they received those names.
Read a little louder. The birth of Cain and Lulawa.
Okay. And they dwelt on the earth, working in order to continue in the well-being of their bodies, and were so until the 9th month of Eve's childbearing were ended. And the time drew near when she must be delivered. Then she said unto Adam, this cave is a pure spot by reason of the signs wrought in it. since we left the garden, and we shall again pray in it. It is not met then that I should bring forth in it. Let us rather repair to that of the sheltering rock, which Hashatan hurled at us, when he wished to kill us with it, but that we held up and spread as an awning over us by the command of Yahuwah, and formed a cave. Can everybody hear me?
Can you hear Miss Baca?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Then Adam removed Kua to the cave, and when the time came that she should bring forth, she travailed much. So was Adam sorry, and his heart suffered for her sake. For she was nigh unto death, that the word of Elohim to her should be fulfilled. In suffering shalt thou bear a child, and in sorrow shalt thou bring forth thy child. But when Adam saw the strait in which Kua was, he arose and prayed to Elohim and said, O Master, look upon me with the eye of thy compassion, and bring her out of her distress. And Elohim looked at his maidservant Kua, and delivered her, and she brought forth her firstborn son, and with him a daughter. Then Adam rejoiced at Kua's deliverance, and also over the children she had borne him. And Adam ministered unto Kua in the cave until the end of 8 days, when they named the son Kaan and the daughter Luluah.
Go ahead.
The meaning of Kaan is hater, because he hated his sister in their mother's womb. They came out of it. Therefore did Adam name him Cain. But Luluah means beautiful, because she was more beautiful than her mother. Then Adam and Kua waited until Cain and his sister were 40 days old, when Adam said unto Eve, we will make an offering and offer it up behalf of the children. And Kua said, we will make one offering for the firstborn son, and afterwards we shall make one for the daughter. That was 74.
Barak Yahuwah. 75. Let's go to chapter 75.
Okay. The family revisits the caves of treasures, birth of Abal and Aklamah.
The birth of Habal, the birth of Abel.
Okay.
Chapter 75. Let's read.
Then Adam prepared an offering, and he and Kua offered it up for their children, and brought it to the altar they had built at first. And Adam offered up the offering, and besought Elohim to accept his offering. Then Elohim accepted Adam's offering, and sent a light from heaven that shone upon the offering. And Adam and the son drew near to the offering, but Kua and the daughter did not approach unto it. Then Adam came down from upon the altar, and they were joyful. And Adam and Kua waited until the daughter was 80 days old. Then Adam prepared an offering, and took it to Kua and to the children. And they went to the altar, where Adam offered it up as he was wont, asking the master to accept his offering. And the master accepted the offering of Adam and Kua. Then Adam, Kua, and the children drew near together, and came down from the mountain rejoicing. But they returned not to the cave in which they were born, but came to the cave of treasures, in order that the children should go around it and be blessed with the tokens brought from the garden. But after they had been Baruch with those tokens, they went back to the cave in which they were born. However, before Kua had offered up the offering, Adam had taken her and had gone with her to the river of water, in which they threw themselves at first. Okay. And there they washed themselves. Adam washed his body, and Kua hers also clean, after the suffering and distress that had come upon them. But Adam and Kua, after washing themselves in the river, returned every night to the caves of treasures, where they prayed and were Baruch, and then went back to their cave where the children were born. So did Adam and Kua until the children had done sucking. Then when they were weaned, Adam made an offering for the souls of his children, other than the 3 times he had made offerings for them every week.
Adam made a lot of offerings. Offerings is Torah. This is Torah. This is a part of being perfect. Bringing him his offerings at the appointed times. This began with Adam. Bringing him his offerings at the appointed times. Read.
When the days of nursing the children were ended, Kua again conceived. And when her days were accomplished, she brought forth another son and daughter. And they named the son Habal, and the daughter Aklah. Then at the end of the 40 days, Adam made an offering for the son, and at the end of 80 days, he made an offering for the daughter, and did by them as he had done before by Cain and his sister Luluah. He brought them to the cave of treasures where they received the barakah, and then returned to the cave where they were born. After the birth of these, Kua ceased from childbearing. That was 75.
Barak Yahuwah. Keep reading.
76.
Chapter 76.
Cain becomes jealous because of his sister.
Read.
And the children began to wax stronger and to grow in stature, but Cain was hard-hearted.
Cain was hard-hearted. He was imperfect, not born from above. You're either one or two seeds. He told you. Either you're a seed of Cain, or you're seed of Habal, or by extension, seed of Seth. Seed of Seth. There is no in-between. There is no in-between. Read.
And ruled over his younger brother. And oftentimes when his father made an offering, he would remain behind and not go with them to offer up.
He didn't like doing offerings. He didn't like bringing offerings. Read.
But as to Habal, he had a meek heart.
Oh, I told you. Our ancient fathers were Tom. Habal had a meek heart. He was Tom. He was gentle. He was quiet. This is the very nature and character of Yahuwah. And this is the nature and character of his children. He was meek. Read.
And was obedient to his father
and
mother.
Was obedient. This is another trait. Being obedient. It is not those who are the hearers of Torah who will be declared righteous, but the doers of it. But the doers of it. He was righteous. This is why he's called righteous Abel, a righteous Habal. And indeed, he was meek and quiet. He was gentle. He was Tom, just like his father Adam. Read.
He often moved to make an offering because he loved it and prayed and fasted much. Then came this sign to Habal as he was coming into the cave of treasures and saw the golden rods, the incense, and the myrrh. He inquired of his parents Adam and Kua concerning them and said unto them, How did you come by these? Then Adam told him all that had befallen him, and Habal felt deeply about what his father had told him. Furthermore, his father Adam told him of the works of Elohim and of the garden, and after that he remained behind his father the whole of that night in the cave of treasures. And that night while he was praying, Hashatan appeared unto him under the figure of a man, who said to him, Thou hast oftentimes moved thy father to make an offering to fast and pray. Therefore I will kill thee and make thee perish from the world. But as for Habal, he prayed to Elohim and drove away Hashatan from him, and believed not the words of the devil. Then when it was day, a Malachim of Elohim appeared unto him, who said to him, Shorten neither fasting, prayer, nor offering up an oblation unto thy Elohim, for lo, the master has accepted thy prayer. Be not afraid of the figure which appeared unto thee in the night, who cursed thee unto death. And the Malachim departed from him. Then when it was day, Habal came to Adam and Kua and told them of this vision he had seen. But when they heard it, they grieved much over it, yet said nothing to him about it. They only comforted him. But as to hard-hearted Cain, Hashatan came to him by night, showed himself, and said unto him, Since Adam and Kua love thy brother Habal much more than thy love thee, and wish to join him in marriage to thy beautiful sister, because they love him, but wish to join thee in marriage to his ill-favored sister, because they hate thee. Now therefore I counsel thee, when thou do that, to kill thy brother. Then thy sister will be left for thee, and his sister will be cast away. And Hashatan departed from him, but the wicked one remained behind in the heart of Cain, who sought many a time to kill his brother.
So we see here two contrasts. Two contrasts. Can you look at my notes to see what chapter? We have here two contrasts. We have meek, gentle, mild, Habal, demonstrating the nature and the character of his father, Yahuwah and Adam. And we have Cain being hard-hearted, who did a lot of talking, who did not like offering, displaying the character of his father, Hashatan. This very same nature and character you will find in Esau. You will find in Esau. And the very same nature and character of Habal, you're going to find in Seth. You're going to find in Kahinan. You're going to find in Kanush. You're going to find in Kanuk, in Methuselah, in Lamech, in Nuach, in Sham, and Eba. You're going to find in Abraham. You're going to find in Ishak. You're going to find in Yaakov. Because through these, the everlasting covenant was renewed.
Then you had Bereshit 4, 1 through 7, then 77 and 78. The forgotten books of the...
Read. Genesis chapter what?
4.
We're going to come back to this, but I want to interrupt here for just a minute and read Genesis chapter 4.
Okay. All right. And Adam knew his wife Kua, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have gained a man, Yahuwah. And again she gave birth to his brother Habal, and Habal became a keeper of sheep, but Cain became a tiller of the ground. And it came to be in the course of time that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to Yahuwah, and Habal also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And Yahuwah looked to Habal and his offering, but he did not look to Cain and his offering. And Cain was very wroth, and his face fell. And Yahuwah said to Cain, why is he wroth towards you, and why is your face fallen? Is it not if you do good, you are to be accepted? And if you do not do good, towards the door is crime. He is lying, and towards you is his desire, and you must rule over him.
Barak Yahuwah. So here we see another contrast. We see that Habal brought what? A pure offering, and we are to bring pure offerings. If we do not bring pure offerings, our offerings will not be accepted. We also see the contrast that Habal was obedient to Torah. What does Torah declare? That we are to bring the first that splits the womb to Yahuwah, and we're to bring the first fruits from the land. Now Habal brought the first that split the womb, but Cain brought simply the fruit of the ground. He did not bring the first fruit. He was disobedient to Torah, and he did it reluctantly. And so we continue to see this contrast between one who is meek and humble and gentle and righteous, and one who is hard-hearted, who is unrighteous, who is imperfect, who is impure, who is just going through the motions, who is just going through the outward motions, but their hearts are wicked. But their hearts are wicked. Their hearts is like a sepulcher. We see these two contrasts playing out. That either you are perfect or you are imperfect. This is the contrast. Either you are perfect or you are imperfect. If you are perfect, you're going to look like righteous Habal. You're going to look like Adam. You're going to look like Seth. If you're imperfect, you're going to look like Cain and his seed. Here is the contrast. This is the contrast. Keep reading.
Okay, this is chapter 77.
Chapter 77 of the Forgotten Books of Adam and Kua.
Cain, 15 years old, and Habal, 12 years old, grow apart.
I think this is going to be our last chapter. What chapter is this?
This is 77.
Chapter 77. Read.
But when Adam saw that the elder brother hated the younger, he endeavored to soften their heart and said unto Cain, take, O my son, of the fruits of the sowing, and make an offering unto Elohim, that he may forgive thee thy wickedness and thy crime. He said also to Habal, take thou of the sowing, and make an offering, and bring it to Elohim, that he may forgive thy wickedness and thy crime. Then Habal hearkened unto his father's voice, and took of his sowing, and made a good offering, and said to his father Adam, come with me to show me how to offer it up.
Obedience. Obedience is the character and nature of those who are in covenant with Yahuwah.
And they went, Adam and Kua, with him, and showed him how to offer up his gift upon the altar. Then after that they stood up and prayed that Elohim would accept Habal's offering. Then Elohim looked upon Habal and accepted his offering. And Elohim was more pleased with Habal than with his offering, because of his good heart and pure body.
Because of his pure heart, his good heart and pure body. What does pure mean? It means perfect. It means perfect. He was pleased with him because he was perfect. Read.
There was no trace of guile in him.
There was no trace of guile in him. I told you they were perfect. They were perfect. And if we claim fellowship with them, we too must be perfect. Because Elohim is light. He is perfect, and in him is no darkness at all. Is no imperfection in him. If anyone claims fellowship with him and walks in darkness, even in shade, He lies and does not live by the truth. But if we walk in the light, in perfection, as he is in the light, which is perfection, then the dam of Yahusha cleanses us from all crime. Then we have fellowship with him and fellowship with one another, who are also walking perfectly, who are also walking in the light, which is pure light, which is perfect light. Read.
Then they came down from the altar and went to the cave in which they dwelt. But Habal, by reason of his joy at having made his offering, repeated it 3 times a week after the example of his father Adam.
I told you his father was perfect too. Yes, he was. He committed that one crime of partaking of the fruit. Daud was considered perfect. Even though he laid with Bathsheba, he was perfect. Because Abba said he was perfect, because his heart was perfect towards him. His heart was perfect towards him. Daud never committed another crime. He never committed another crime. His heart was perfect towards Yahuwah. Perfect. And Abba considered him to be perfect. Read.
But as to Cain, he took no pleasure in offering. But after
he didn't like to offer. He didn't like offering. He ain't like, your clothing is still being removed. Your nakedness is still being revealed. You ought to be still running for the fig leaves. Yeah, Cain didn't like offering. He didn't like to offer. But the seed of Yahuwah, the seed of our righteous fathers, we love to offer. We love to offer. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Oh, you're being revealed. You are being revealed. You can't hide no more. You are being revealed. Come on, read.
But after much anger on his father's part, he offered up his gift once, and when he did offer up, his eyes were on the offering he made. And he took the smallest of his sheep for an offering, and his eyes was again on it. Therefore Elohim did not accept this offering, because his heart was full of murderous thoughts.
His heart was wicked. His heart was wicked. And you think your zitzits being long, and your long skirt, and your head wrap, and you're speaking of the Abarite tongue, and you wearing your long robes, man, your Abarite robes, and you changing your name, you think that causes you to be acceptable before him. He wants your heart. For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speak. This is where murders and envies come from, is within the heart. He wants the inner cup to be clean. He wants the inner cup to be clean. Then clean the outer cup. And if you weren't so busy running your mouth, you would hear him telling you this. Read.
And they all thus lived together in the cave in which Kua had brought forth until Cain was 15 years old and Habal 12 years old.
Barak Yahuwah. We're going to stop right here until the next time, because I don't want to make these teachings too long. I don't want to lose the attention span of those who are listening to Abba's words. Abba Yahuwah, I pray that these words have not fallen on deaf ears.
Yes, Abba Yahuwah.
I pray that it has not fallen on untilled soil.
Yes, Abba Yahuwah.
I pray that the word, the seed, has not been thrown by the wayside, such that immediately after the seed has been cast, has been thrown, that the devils, that the demons will immediately come and snatch that seed.
Yes, Abba.
Prevent them, rebuke them, bind them, keep them from coming and snatching the seed, Abba. It is my prayer that the seed has not been thrown on shallow ground, on shallow, rocky ground,
Yes,
such as to grow up and having no root, that the sun beating down on them causes it to wither and not to grow and not to bear any fruit.
Yes.
I pray that this seed has not been thrown amongst thorns, Abba, where the cares and the concerns and the desires for riches and the desire for esteem and position and importance does not come in and choke out this word or this seed, so that it is prevented from growing and bearing fruit. But I pray that this word, that this seed has been cast upon fertile soil, fertile, tilled and cultivated soil, fertilized soil, so that this seed which has been planted will be planted in good soil, such that the watering of your Ruach will come behind and water the seed, so that it grows up to become a mighty tree, producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life. It is my prayer, Abba, that not one word spoken via the mouth of your servant shall return void, but that it shall accomplish that which you have sent it forth to do. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it.
So be it.
For those of you on YouTube, we praise Abba that you have joined us for this Shabbat gathering. We invite you back to more of Abba's Shabbat gathering. I pray that the word has been beneficial. I pray that you're not leaving with an angry heart, but with a convicted one. With one that would seek Abba, that would fall before his feet, asking that he would put clothing on your nakedness and forgive you of your crimes. But until the next time, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it.
So be it.